soil. And I've seen some YouTube videos where people are going out and they're taking like soil that's been outside, which is part of whatever mix they were using, and they're bringing it inside. And that is probably the worst thing you could ever want to do, because with that mix that was outside, whatever it was you're taking it, whether it be from a raised bed or however you're doing it, you're going to bring in a ton of fungus gnats. When you just use this method and you just use either coconut coir or peat with perlite, you're not going to be battling the fungus gnats to the same degree. You still might have a few, but you can keep them under control. I've never had to do dips or anything like that. I just use a few of the sticky tapes, and if there's a few that show up. The first year I did this, I didn't have any fungus gnats at all. And people were talking about fungus gnats. Why are they having fungus gnats? That's one of the big reasons. They are, in all likelihood, in your house, and you probably will have them even with this setup, but you're mitigating the damages that are caused by fungus gnats by not taking soil from outside and bringing it in. So if you've heard that in the past, try to erase that from your memory, because that's really not a good idea. Okay, so now you know the cutting, you know the buddy tape on top to hold the moisture into the cutting. You know how dense your mix for rooting should be. You got the trick of saying what it is, where it came from when you started it, so you can track that. You've painted that on the actual cutting itself as a backup, you know. And there it says De La Gloria. So you know you've got a system of checks and balances, so you know you've got the right tree growing. That's critically important. Now, as far as the cutting itself, this is that Joie Noire cutting. It's a 3-node cutting. And I'm going to take the buddy tape, which is really nice because it comes perforated, and you can just take one piece off. And when I wrap it, I'll actually stretch this bottom part of the buddy tape right there. I'll stretch that a little bit more, and I'll try to make that wrap around the cutting so that it's nice and even. And then I'll just take it to the top, and just whatever's left over, I'll just pull it and snap it off. This case, I've got a 3-node cutting. I've got a node right there. I've got a node right there, and I've got a node down there. And I've left about, between 1/4 and 1/2 inch of material below that lower node. That's where the roots are going to come out of. This node could form a leaf or a branch, or a new tree, actually. That one could form a new tree as well. I'm going to wrap right where that J is. So I'm going to leave that bud exposed. But the parafilm, if you stretch it tight, is so thin that the bud that's going to come here will be able to blow right through that parafilm without any problems. But the parafilm's keeping the moisture in, so it's not drying out. After I do that, I'll do my scores down here. I just put a little Clonex gel in a paper towel. This is the trick that I just figured out this year, because I could never get the right amount of Clonex. I tried it with a brush, and it's not like it's thin and it puts this thin coat on. You have problems doing it. So if you take your cutting, make your score, dip the end in, roll it, and then just take it over here and roll it like this, you can get an even coat on the cutting. Let's see, I'll show you without, I haven't cut the little cutting part of it where I've done the score. I'll do that next. So I'm just tipping the end of it in, and I'm just rolling it like this, right? And then I take it over here and I just kind of roll it. It's much easier with 2 hands, by the way. And what you're doing when you're rolling it is you're just trying to get a nice even coat where you don't want it on too thick, but you want it coating it. Now, let's see how well I can get that to focus. You can see it there. It's just a light coat. And that will be right where I make my scores. So I'll make the scores. I'll wrap the top with the buddy tape. I'll eventually get a tripod so I can record doing this. But, you know, this is the first time I'm doing this, so bear with me. Bear with my lack of skills at this point.